Hey, everybody, how's it going out there in Instagram land or YouTube land? This is Jeff, the guy from Rested Again. We're here to talk about something else that I think is important. We're going to talk about women's rights and how it works with women's nature, okay? Because I think this is very important. I think this is something to learn, okay? Women are always looking for status and are always looking for a higher status than what they've had before. So, like, for instance, if say you're a professional prize fighter and there and you have this girl that from your neighborhood that really likes you and everything else like that, but then she meets the boss, she meets his boss, the guy that's running all the fights and everything like that. Guess what happens? She's no longer seeing the fighter, she's actually seeing the guy who runs everything. See, women are always going to go with what is more than, even if they don't deserve it, they're still going to do it anyway. And that's a fact of life. Now, for instance, I know for a fact that a good number of black women date white men, and a majority of those women that date white men are not necessarily they're looking for a higher status in their life. And if a white man cannot provide that higher status, then they dump him and move on to somebody else. That's exactly what they do. So I know this because I dated a black woman, and we were in a relationship for about almost 2 years. And, when she realized that this is what I was and I wasn't going to get more, then all of a sudden she decided to basically, dump me and ghost me and not think much of me. And you know, um, I got the best revenge on her because basically things worked out in my favor over the long run. After she met somebody else who was not even as good as me. So you always sometimes do get the last laugh on some of these women who try to basically ghost you and run out on you. Um, Women today basically are self-natured, and they're out there looking for resources, and they'll go to anybody that'll give them resources. And if you refuse to give them resources, then you'll hear things like, well, you don't love me, you don't care about me, you don't, and they're trying to get on your guilt side. And what you need to do is you need to come back and say, hey, listen, you know uh, as far as me giving you stuff or anything else like that, I'm not that kind of a guy. So and you just let them know straight up from the get-go. That's the one thing, that never ever ever give a chick what she wants, because she'll always be around because she wants to keep trying to get what she wants from you. And that's another good thing you need to understand. Now, let's talk about women's nature, how conducive it is to women's rights. You ever notice how in women's rights they always claim that um, that the heads of state or the government, or whatever, and there's only so many women, whereas there you have all these men and stuff like that are in these positions of power, whether you're a senator, a congressman, a state legislator, or a governor. um, Very few women have made it to the governor's mansion. Jan Brewer of New Mexico comes to mind. Sarah Palin of Alaska is another. Very few women have made it to the governor's mansion. No woman has made it to the presidency of the United States. Hillary Clinton did try, but if Hillary Clinton uh, wasn't so much of a progressive socialist liberal, then she might have had a chance of getting there. But unfortunately, Hillary Clinton was not, and not Donald Trump. And Donald Trump basically capitalized on what was wrong with America, and he said, "This is what I'm going to do to fix it if you vote for me." And that's exactly what he's done. Now, he's done a few things that I haven't liked, but for the most part, he's pretty much, I'd say about 85 to 90% of everything he's done, I happen to agree with. You know, no, nobody's going to give you 100% of what you want. That's a fact of life. I'd rather vote for somebody that gives me 85 to 90% of what I agree with rather than the other way around. So, that's the reason why I support Donald Trump. We'll be voting for him too in the next election. But anyways, let's get back to women's nature, to women's rights. You ever notice how feminist group, and they always bring up CEOs, heads of state, things of that nature, and there's not enough, women are this part of the population, and they should be getting, we should at least see 50% of those people being women. Have you ever noticed that most women, basically, once they get something of power, they wreck it? Very few women, once they get a position of power, like Margaret Thatcher, actually make it better. Because Margaret Thatcher, when she took over, because she was the Iron Lady of Great Britain, right? She took over, and when she took over, she fixed their country. You know, you couldn't buy a new car. You couldn't, the tax rates were so high, nobody could afford anything except to eat, sleep, and crap. That was pretty much about it. And what are the British people doing? Employing socialism again and running their economy into the ground. You know, but hey, the men are in charge. So, I don't think it's necessarily women or men, but in this case, I think you got a bunch of people that believe socialism works when it doesn't in the British government, but for the most part. And then so that's how that is. But women always are going to basically go with the higher thing. You never see a woman say, this. I personally think if women want equality, we should put them on, they should register for selective service. If women want equality, then they should get the same kind of consideration that a man gets when he goes out for his first job. Because they're relying on their vagina and their boobies and their behind to basically turn around and give them a leg up on the guy. That's a fact of life. I mean, I saw that all the time when I was working as a young man in my 20s. The women were always getting a better job, better this, better that. It's a fact of life. So women were going to make more than I did back then. But then I started making more than, by the time I hit my mid 30s, I started making more than most women did, and women were coming to me. So that's how that is. So, that's where that comes from. So anyways, the other thing that I think that is really ridiculous is women talk about equality. And I look at it like this. Okay, register for selective service. You should not be counting on your sexuality to get you a leg up from a man. You should turn around and basically have the same walk out, get the same qualifications as a man in any job whatsoever. If you're in the steno pool, the reason why you're in the steno pool is because that's where you are the best at your job, working for somebody else that makes decisions, and then you just carry them out. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Women have tried to be fighter pilots. Very, very few women could actually be fighter jocks, and the reason why is because number one, the demands are physical. Number two, you have to learn advanced mathematics in order to be a pilot. Okay, and number three, women basically mathematics. Most women, their mathematics is not their strong suit. Yes, there are excellent students in school, like high school and everything, where you could learn trigonometry and functions and calculus, but really deep down inside, they do really well in the classroom. But when you're a pilot, you have to think on your feet, and there's only so many people that can do what a pilot does. Not every man can be a pilot either. I mean, you have to think about your brain, the physicality that's needed of your body to withstand the G forces, the other things that have to be done. Most women cannot handle that because number one, they lack the upper body strength for one thing, to handle these jobs. That is the reason why you don't see women in those higher positions in the military, or a lot of them. And if they are there, there's very few of them that are that good. Very few of them are that good. The thing is, yes, you may have, out of all the women that go become pilots and stuff, maybe maybe 10% of them are actually really as good as a man, or as good as a man, or just as good as a man. You know, and the rest of them are like just under par, but the military has to keep them there because, number one, because of, the civilian government that says, hey, you have to go and you have to take care of these things. And you have to basically show that you have women working for you and stuff. Anyways, so that's how that goes. Well, but anyways, women's nature and women's rights. And this is the best way to sum it up. And that is, women are always going to look for the higher, better thing, not going where they are, not going where they're supposed to be, not going where they're qualified to be. They're going to go, they're going to go up. They're not going to go to where they're supposed to be because of qualifications. They're going to go up. And that's their thing. I mean, I noticed when I was in the Marine Corps and stuff like that, I remember a girl, she was on Okinawa for about a year, just like I did. She was a PFC when she got there. She was a corporal when she left in 1 year. No guy, nobody gets that kind of a promotion that fast unless you are that good. And I could tell one thing, she wasn't that good. She wasn't even that cute looking either. So I don't know what she did to get their promotion, but she definitely got it. So that's what goes there. I always look at people, and you know, and some women out there just don't rate what they ask for. And as men, we need to basically make them understand that, if it wasn't for men, you wouldn't have what you have. And that's a fact of life. Most men today, we are, we're out here working, we're trying to make a living, we're trying to provide, if we're married, for our wives and kids. Excuse me one second. Excuse me. Anyways, we're trying to provide for our families. We're working every day, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. Now that we have this coronavirus now, most businesses have shut down with the exception of essential services such as maybe a hardware store, drugstores, gas stations, repair shops, things of that nature. We need to understand that because of this virus and stuff like that, things are not going to be the same. And if you have noticed the way women behave now because they've been cut off from men, how flirtatious, if you see a woman online and how they're talking to you, how very flirtatious they are. Well, that's because they're lonely and they're looking for something that they weren't getting before. It's kind of hard to go out there and basically seduce a man for whatever reason that the woman wants to seduce a man for, when basically she can't go out there seduce a man because, number one, she's on lockdown. Well, if you noticed how women are today, women are very, 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 they're turning around. They're becoming more flirtatious, or could be more forward online. I've noticed a lot of women that I've talked to now that are not getting out, they're being more forward with me. They're talking more with me. Well, this is all to gain resources, guys. Women out there go after men for one thing, and that is resources. Remember, as Coach Greg, or as Donovan Sharp said, all sex with a woman is transactional. It's transactional for one thing: status or money. Those are the two things: status or money. Status or money. Those are the two reasons why women have sex with men: status or money. Either you're rich and she wants a piece of your wallet, or number two, status. You have some type of title, ability or something that nature that she wants to capitalize on for herself. And that's the reason why women have always done this throughout time. The only problem is the fact that now that they have or want equality, they want the old-fashioned way and the new way with the equality factor. And I say to most women, ladies, if you want equality, true equality, then you should basically, you know, we should see for every 25 positions, you know, 13 should be men, 12 should be women. If we, in a construction company, and I'm not talking about being a secretary behind the desk winking at the boss in a construction trailer, answering the phone and doing messages and stuff. I'm talking about actually going out there and working, either basically doing road construction, bridge construction, actually doing the work. Very few women do the work. You go to a construction company, you'll see most women are usually the flag people. They flag cars down to get them to stop, or wave cars down to go through. That's what they're there for, is to wave cars through. It's a fact of life. They're not there to do any real work. It's the guys that are it's the men on that construction company that are actually doing the work, fixing the road up. All right. You'll never see a woman handle a jackhammer. For that reason, these are the things that you need to be looking for. What women want equality. Okay, let's have true equality now. They don't want equality. They want leverage. They've always wanted leverage. Feminism is never about equality with women. It's about leverage. Getting leverage above men. It has nothing to do with being equal to men. And ladies, let's face it, you're not equal to men, because Genesis chapter 2. In chapter 2, God makes reference to giving Adam a helper that's conducive to him. Women were never created to be man's equal. They were created to be man's helper. And most women are, as Donovan Sharp says, they're not co-pilots. They're the stewardess on the aircraft. They're not the pilot or the co-pilot. You got a man that's a co-pilot. No, most women are the stewardess on the aircraft. They come in and serve you coffee, this, that, and everything else. Now, and that's a fact of life. That's how women are. Women want title and position. That's why, that one woman, she married the King of Jordan and stuff like that. And I like the King of Jordan. I think he's a great guy. But she married him because, number one, two things: he had money, and number two, he had a position. Meghan Markle married Prince Harry. Why? Because he had money and he had a position, in the royal family. Now, since then, she has done some things that has really made the Queen upset, and a lot of the people in the royal family are very upset with what she's done, dragging Prince Harry around. And I wished I could get a hold of him, and I'd say, hey, listen, you need to dump this broad. You need to dump her quickly. She is not good for you. Okay? She's doing this she's manipulating you, and you know it. And you need to stand on your own 2 feet and dump this girl. Get rid of her. If it costs you $20 million, get rid of her. It's better to write her a check for $20 million and get rid of her than this and that. And then basically, she's an actress, so she's never going to take care of her baby. So you should get full custody of it, and she should be able to come and visit anytime. But that's what I'd tell Prince Harry to do. So that's my advice. Now, but if you look at everything that women's rights claims, then want equality of higher status. So if you're on the top level of something, that's what they want equality in. They don't want to basically earn their share at the bottom and work their way up. Now, are there some women that do that, start at the bottom? But those are the ugly girls. Those are the ones that basically, most men aren't attracted to them. They're not good or anything else for that matter. Most men most women are not that way. And that's the other thing you need to understand too. Women will always come to you for help. I've had a number of female friends that weren't girlfriends, and I've never had sex with them or anything else like that. But then they always come to me for help. Jeff, can you help me with this? Jeff, can you help me with that? So that's what goes on there. Well, anyways, guys, Instagram land and YouTube. This is Jeff, the guy from Reston, signing off. Remember, women are not your equal. They've never been your equal, and they never will. So I'll talk to y'all later. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.